old messages. The memory is full. Please erase your messages. Message 1.
Goose in. This is a test of the NEC corded telephone. The cord is in very nice condition, and the handset seems to work pretty good. Over and out. Goose out.
Message 2.
This is a test of this Western Electric Anatan telephone, model 500. Very nice telephone. Over and out.
Message 3.
As it turns out, the buttons do not work on this telephone, which is not too uncommon, unfortunately, for the mechanical dialing telephones. So we have to get that repaired. This seems to have an awful lot of side tone to it. Over and out.
Message 4.
Goose, goose. 1, 2, 3. This phone sounds like you're in a tunnel. Well, so far it's relatively clear. I'm exiting the studio now. I just heard that 46 megahertz buzz. And yeah, I'm hearing some static here and there. But if there's a little bit of static here and there for a very long distance, then, whatever. And as far as I can get now, and if I move around, it does get some static, but it's still relatively clear. I'm going to have to test this outside to really get a good idea of how far the reception is. Seems like it has potential to work well. Okay, I'm back in the studio now. I'm going to change the channel. This is definitely not a unit and product, because if it was a unit and product, it wouldn't have so much constant background noise. Okay, changing the channel now. The channel was changed. I don't know if it changed fast enough for the machine to keep recording. Looks like it was. Okay, I'm going to hang up now from the button.
Message 5.
This time we're going to hang up from the base.
Message 6.
This is a speakerphone test. That was speaking very close to the unit. Now I'm speaking about a foot away from the unit. And it looks like the microphone on the top here is real. Okay, I'm going to move back from the speakerphone now. I'm about 4 feet away from it.
Message 7.
Hello! This is the first testing message on handset number 4. I'm going to leave the studio now and traverse across the room to make sure that the range is what it should be. And I'm almost there now. I'm towards where the sink is. And now I am as far away as I can get. Hopefully the coverage is still good. Okay, now I'm going to return to the studio, and I'm going to switch the telephone over to the speakerphone now. Okay, it's on the speakerphone now, and I'm speaking at about the same volume and distance as I was before. So this will give us a good comparison on how the microphone sensitivity compares on talk mode versus on the speakerphone mode. Okay, now I'm going to set the phone down on the table. Okay, I set the phone down. I just picked it back up again because I remembered we're going to have to get the piece of wood to satisfy the constraints of that letter H, because he likes to see how the speakerphone performs when the speakerphone is on a piece of wood. Although he claims that it doesn't matter for the handsets, which I don't quite understand, because I think the microphone is far enough towards the bottom that the surface that the phone is sitting on could absolutely have an effect on how it captures the audio. And so, we could sit here and speculate, or we could find out for certain. So first, I will start by putting the phone on the carpet. Okay, it's on the carpet now. It's not really standing up too well. Okay, now it's standing up. So right now I'm speaking right above the telephone, about a foot away from the telephone. And start moving back now, about 2 feet, probably about 3 feet away from the telephone. And this message is getting kind of long, so I'm going to keep an eye on the testing machine to see if it cuts off. I'm about 5 feet away from the telephone now. I think this is about as far away as I would realistically expect it to work. So if it works at this distance, I would say it's a good speakerphone. Because these aren't all that loud, so you're not going to be a really far distance away from it and still be able to hear it. Because as we learned in the AT&T manual, the speaker is only effective if it's loud enough so that you can hear it. Okay, I'm going to start moving backwards now, about 6 to 7 feet now, 8 feet, 9 feet, 10 feet, 11 feet, all the way across the room. If it's still picking up from over here, that's pretty impressive performance. And it looks like it's still recording, so it must have been. Alright, now I'm going to move the telephone onto the piece of wood. It's on the piece of wood. It's set up much easier that time, which would make sense. And I'm speaking right over it, about a foot above it. Now I'm going to start moving back from the telephone now, about 3 feet away, 4 feet away, 5 feet away now. This is where I was before. This is where I think the maximum reasonable distance that you would use it at is about this distance. So if it's working good here, then I would say it's working good. Stupid thing to say. Okay, I'm going to start moving back now. Now I'm about 6 feet away, 7 feet away, 8 feet away, 9 feet away, 10 feet away, 11 feet away. Now I'm all the way across the room. It looks like it's still recording. It was picking up just fine on the carpet, so I suspect it was still picking up fine just then. Okay, I think we're probably getting towards the end of this testing message, so I'm going to turn this telephone off now. I'm going to hang up with the button.
Message 8.
This is the microphone test of the handset number 3. This is on speakerphone. Now it's on talk, and I'm going to hang up with the button.
Message 9.
This is the test of the handset number 2. I have not changed any of the banners, so they all say handsets. This is on talk. Now it's on the speakerphone. Testing 1, 2, 3. This time I'm going to hang up into the cradle.
Message 10.
This is the handset number 1, and this is the final cordless handset that we're going to be testing. This is on the speakerphone now, and I just turned it on to talk. So now I'm going to hang up this telephone into the cradle again, but this time it'll be hung up while it's on talk versus on speaker, as was the case with the previous message.
Message 11.
Okay, we're on the base speakerphone now. There is a mic indicator on the base with a line under it, and it is right above where the microphone sits, almost. But as is often the case, the microphone is really on the bottom. And this is probably where the piece of wood is going to make more of a difference. So right now it's on the carpet. I'm speaking right over it at about a foot distance or so. I'm going to start moving back. Now I'm about 3 feet away, 4 feet away. I'm at about 5 feet away. This is the distance where I would expect it to work. I don't know.
Message 12.
Okay, now the base is on the piece of wood. It cut off from the last message, so I guess it wasn't getting a very good pickup. I start moving back from the phone now, 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet. So this is the furthest distance that I would expect it to work at. If it's picking up good here, that's satisfactory in my opinion. Start moving back now, 6 feet, 7 feet, 8 feet, 9 feet, 10 feet, 11 feet, all the way on the other side of the room. And it's still recording, so I guess it didn't cut off that time. Goodbye.
Message 13.
This will be the 7th and final testing message from this unit and telephone. This is from the corded handset on the base. I have mixed opinions about this particular handset. I've used this handset before. It does exist on a number of other models. What comes to mind is the second generation DEC 6 loud and clear telephone, the cordless telephone. I believe that system has the same handset. And in fact, I think there definitely is a first generation loud and clear DEC 6 cordless telephone that has the same handset as this. In fact, I used to use that particular model I'm speaking about here in the studio as the testing phone, and I ultimately replaced it with an AT&T 210 telephone because I wasn't too happy with the audio pickup. It sounded there was like a high frequency harshness to it, and so I replaced it with the other telephone because I didn't think that was an accurate test of the audio quality on the telephones. So now I'm using the 210 at the testing area here. The ergonomics on this handset are quite good. It cups the ear very nicely, and the microphone is the correct length. It goes right in front of your mouth. But on the other hand, it seems to have a lot of wind noise, which bothers some people. Okay, that'll conclude this testing message. Just another note about the speakerphone. As far as the wood is concerned, I've noticed in a lot of cases it seems to make a difference on the sound quality more so than the pickup. But in this case, it did seem to make a significant difference on the pickup because it cut off on the first message, which means there wasn't much audio going through. The second time it did work correctly, so there must have been enough audio going through with the piece of wood funneling the audio into the microphone.
Message 14.
This is a test on the speakerphone, and this is a test on the regular phone. That'll conclude this test, the over and out.
Message 15.
Okay, this is the handset number 1. I am going to exit the studio now and traverse across the room to make sure the reception is going for as long as it should be. These are Digitan spread spectrum, but they are also dual band 2.4 from the handset to the base, and that does tend to drop out before the 5.8 does. Okay, I'm all the way across the room now. I'm as far as I can go. So if it was still clear there, then everything will be just fine. Okay, I'm going back into the studio now, and I'm going to close the squeaky studio door. And now I will switch the handset to the speakerphone. Okay, now it's on the speakerphone, and I'm speaking at about the same volume and distance as I was before. I've always found the speakerphone, yes, but even just the regular talk mode have a very good pickup on these telephones. It's very sensitive, but it doesn't overload and distort if you're talking too close or too loudly. Okay, now I'm going to put the telephone down on the table. Okay, the handset is on the table now, and I'm speaking right overhead, and of course the air conditioner happened to come on right as I went to record this, so there's going to be a background noise. I would have preferred to record this video when it wasn't running so that you could get a better idea of how good the speakerphone is. Actually, you know what I'm going to do?
Message 16.
Stupid goof. I got to learn how to use the phone. I just turned it off by mistake. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the other room here where it's a little bit quieter. And thought it would be quieter, maybe not. I'm going to close this other door, and that should kind of isolate the noise. And I'm going to put the telephone down over here on this table where it's kind of quieter. And I'm going to start backing away from the telephone now. Right now I'm about 3 feet away from the telephone, 4 feet away from the telephone, 5 feet away from the telephone. This is about 6 feet away from the telephone. I think this is further than any kind of real-world use case would be. Anything beyond this is just not a realistic expectation. But I'll keep going and see how far it goes. This is probably about 12, 13 feet all the way across the room. So it was still
End of messages.